How's it going, guys? CrackedRack here, and today I wanted to talk about how I got fired from an insane asylum. Yes, you heard that right. I was recently, maybe 2 months ago, fired from a mental institution that I worked at. So basically, I desperately needed a job, and not just to pay rent, but to fund my content at the same time. I consider my content a big part of my life, and a part of me, and I just needed money because I wanted to grow. On top of this, I have always been big on mental health and psychology and psychological dynamics, so I wanted to enhance my skills and get a resume for mental health work. So I was shopping around for a job, and someone I know was like, "Hey, I got a reference. You can actually just work here." I was like, "Really?" Normally the application's 200 pages long, but because this person had connections, they were like, "You can come right in." I was like, "Yes!" Oh, fuck! Some Native Americans just bashed in a car window and stole everything. Sorry about that, guys. While this was a mental asylum, it wasn't the kind that I wanted. I wanted the kind where I could observe the patients and, non-physical stuff. That's not what this was, and that's where everything went wrong. So basically, this asylum was where severely disabled people... Really, Cat? This asylum is where severely disabled people would live in, and it was like a row of apartments... Oh, the interruptions today. It was a row of apartments, but they were all together, and it was an asylum. These people were all autistic to the point where they can't speak at all, or schizophrenic, where you're literally seeing shit that's not there and being afraid of it. I wanted this job because it gives you hours of free time, and I figured I could bring my computer, write my books, content scripts, use what was going on around me as inspiration, stuff like that, while getting paid. So I get the job really easily through a reference. Seriously, most people would have to kill for this job. I just got it like that, and I messed it up in a couple of days. And it's a very important position, very, very important position. Well, after one interview, they hired me. I guess they saw me and were like, "Boom, our perfect, most reliable employee right here." And I was like, yes! However, this job would quickly unveil itself to be quite a nasty chore. So the first issue is it was 35 fucking minutes away. I had to drive on the freeway for 15 minutes just to get there at night. So, night one of trying to get there, I missed a freeway exit. I was like, fuck! So I decided to, in the snow, turn around and drive across the grassy median to go the other way. Because otherwise it was going to take an hour to drive to the correct exit. However, upon doing this, all of a sudden my car stuck in the median. The tires were caught in the snow and wouldn't move, and I was like, fuck! 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 So I called 911, and while calling them, I have no idea how I did it, I got the car out of the ditch and safely on the other way, under the road. And I hung up. So I get to work, but I'm 45 minutes late. She introduces me to the patients, and my patients were, and I'm not breaking HIPAA by telling you this, my patients were 3 men in their 40s who were severely disabled. One of the men liked to walk around in his underwear at 45 years old and destroy the house, just smash glass, fucking punch holes through the walls. Insanity. Literally, and that's why he was there. I respected him the most out of all of the patients. Not that I didn't respect any of them, but you get my point. I also had a coworker who was nice, but she was also kind of weird because she kept being "Oh yeah, I used to smoke a bunch of crystal meth. I used to inject heroin every day, every 5 minutes. I've even done crocodile before." And I was like, okay. She just wouldn't stop talking about it. She's like, "Yeah, smoked meth, did some LSD. Me and my husband would have a bunch of sex on it. But I had to stop because it made me homeless." I was like, damn, that's rough. She's like, "Yeah, but yeah, I smoked a lot of meth and heroin in my day." So, yeah, I'm doing this job and everything is fine at first. I'm like, yes, I found my place. Found it. And I felt really empathetic towards all of the clients until a manager pulled me aside and was like, "Okay, are you ready for the lube?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And the manager goes, "Yes, you see, that guy doesn't ever shower, so he has fungal infections on the tip of his penis, and we need you to take this petroleum jelly, lubricant, and rub it on the tip of his penis with your fingers, with his foreskin retracted." And I was like, what the fuck? So at this point, I knew this job was not for me. There's no way in hell I was going to rub jelly on a dude's fungus-infected cock every day as part of my schedule. So I didn't do it and pretended I did. pretty much just farming the job for as much money as it'll give me. And the next day I'm here, and I knew this wasn't going to last long, because I'm not cut out for this disgusting work. I wanted to observe patients. I didn't want to actually physically clean them up. I wanted to be like a shadow of a psychologist so I could amateurly get some secondhand information from my content. I didn't think I'd have to perform fungal hand jobs on the clients. So this day, I let one of the disabled men play on my phone. They're not allowed phone access at all usually, other than what you give them, so this would be like a magical treat. And that it was. He gets the phone, and after 5 minutes of letting him choose whatever he wants on YouTube, all of a sudden I hear, "I can't tell you what it really is, I can only tell you what it feels like." Yeah, somehow he chose Eminem's song, and I was like, interesting. And he loved it. It was like a fucking 5-year-old on Christmas Day. He was dancing and prancing around like a happy 5-year-old as Eminem was like, "Fucking shit, you fucking bitch." It was very weird to watch, but also really wholesome. So I was like, you know what? Come here. And we sat on the couch, and we listened to Eminem for like 4 hours. I showed him Music to Be Murdered By, the Marshall Mathers LP. We listened to the whole thing, and he loved it. He was having so much fun. We listened to The Way I Am, Not Afraid, Insane, off of Relapse, Beautiful. We listened to his Godzilla music video. I don't even really like a lot of these songs that much, but I did like them when they were being consumed by a mentally ill patient who has never seen anything like this before. So that was really cool. I feel like that's a magical moment in that guy's life. He'll remember that forever. But I thought this patient really liked me since he seemed to be enjoying the videos so much. He was smiling, he was laughing, but out of nowhere, he ripped open the front door of the house and was like, "Get out! Get out!" And I was like, ah. He was like 6'4". I wasn't going to argue with him. So I left and I went home, which I was allowed to do. Next day, I go to work again, and the manager's like, "Wait a minute, do you have CPR certification?" I was like, "No, not at all." And she was red as a tomato in her face. And she was like, "These patients have heart issues and frequently turn over and just die. You're the only one on duty. We can't have you as the only caretaker without this training." And I was like, oh, yeah, that's true, isn't it? You can't just have a guy with no experience or training monitoring the whole asylum just listening to Eminem. So she set up a meeting the next day for me to get CPR certification. However, I got so enthralled in Grand Theft Auto 4 that night and smoking weed that I stayed up until 6 in the morning and was not even able to stay awake during the CPR meeting. And on top of that, my roommate needed the car, so I had to leave because we share the car. So I had to leave in the middle of the CPR class. The next day I went into work and the manager was like, "We got to invest in our employees, and from what I'm seeing, there's nothing to invest in." And I was like, "Can I go back to work?" She was like, "No." So I was like, "Fuck!" I literally said that, and I stormed out of the building, was not invited back, and I got my check in the mail, which I think means they were too scared to have me come back. And there you go. One last thing that happened that I think is interesting is I went into one of the women's homes by myself, and we were just having a nice conversation, and everything was really nice. And she was giving me all these complaints. She's like, "This employee did this to me." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And all of a sudden the door was like a really aggressive knock. So I open it and she's like, "Get the fuck out of there. Do you have any idea who that is?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Every last man that comes into her place alone gets accused of rape." And I was like, oh my god, she was literally just telling me all these stories of how these people did these things to her. I'm next. And as I walked away, I looked behind me, and I saw her staring out of her apartment window at me, silently. It was very creepy. But yeah, that's all. Hope you guys enjoyed this very disturbing episode of How I Got Fired. The series still continues. I think this is a series that's going to continue for life. So it's going to have many, many episodes. I don't think anything like this exists at all, so enjoy it.